Excellent. Ravi, you've had a very storied career to date. So, for our viewers, if you would take a minute or two to help us understand what you've accomplished, where you are, and what you're working on.
Sure. It's a pleasure to be talking to you again, Debjani. And after my master's in business administration, I was a big finance person. I used to work for a bank and then on the finance side, on the corporate finance side. And from there, I moved to a telecom on a strategy role, from there to a business role. And that's how it all started off. And big data analytics also came into my fold as part of the heading the data business, because we were actually doing a lot of CVM, customer value management.
So today you are heading up marketing at HDFC Bank as CMO of the bank. So talk to us a little bit about what it means to be at the helm of marketing at one of the largest banks in India. What are your short-term and long-term imperatives, and what are the things you are looking at?
In the HDFC Bank's case, the marketing is organized with the entire big data science team. The consumer analytics team is part of the marketing organization. So I have a 35-member data science team, which looks in depth into the data that we have as a bank and tries to predict consumer behavior, consumer journeys, and all this stuff. That's the first part of it. We have to spend a lot of time in understanding the consumer using the data that we have. So the data is available with us. The research team is also available with us. The insights team is also available with us. Then the campaigns team takes it and creates various cohorts of customers, various segments of customers, and then puts it into an omni-channel marketing, as omni-channel campaign management, as we call. So we make sure across our entire suite of channels, both push and pull, a similar set of customers has a consistent campaign across. So over the last 3 years, what we have achieved in the organization is heavy invest in marketing technology to automate the way in which we reach out to our customers, backed by data, backed by consumer insights, and backed by a creative thought process, which actually brings the human side of it and the mission side of it together to actually go ahead and say, what is the consumer problem that I can solve with this communication? If there is no problem to be solved, don't communicate. Because we are a service industry. And as a service industry, our way of looking at mobile, so mobile is not a marketing device for us. Mobile is actually a marketing device. Mobile is actually a fulfillment device for us. Because we can actually complete the transaction for the consumer in the mobile phone, in the computer. Today, for example, 90% of the transactions HDFC Bank does is digital. So that is the way consumers are moving. The last bit is all about the acquisition, the mortgage transactions, and the purchase of a car and all those. So that's the last bit of transaction which is not moving digital as of now. And we do expect that also will move in the digital world very, very quickly.
You know, that number is an amazing number, that 90% of the transactions with HDFC Bank is happening digitally. What are sort of the next areas that you are looking at in regards to digital that you need to adopt and enable, if you would, how you're thinking about AI and ML and how you're thinking of injecting those into the day-to-day digital operations?
You have to first get a lot of data, which we need to understand and analyze what I need to talk to the consumer with, what I need to take to the consumer. After that, across all the channels, talk the same thing and make sure that the consumer is looking at it, feels that it is relevant for them. And once they apply, take it directly through the digital, including disbursement of money and repayment instructions also stitched down. And that's the last piece that we are putting it together. So 4.5 years back, we had started off this, wherein for a certain set of customers, because of the fact that they've been banking with us for a long period of time, I do know a lot more about those customers. So we have actually given them on a 3-click basis a certain amount of money on a pre-approved, so they can just come log into our mobile banking or a net banking site, click on those buttons and then take their money and go. How do I extend it to most of my customers? And that's the challenge, and that's the opportunity also for us. And that's the biggest thing that we do. The first and foremost thing for you is to figure out how do I reach and how do I reach the relevant customer. And when I reach the relevant customer, what should we talk about and how should we talk about those kind of to those customers, and then what should be the nudge for those customers to actually consider, and from there move on to the fulfillment journey. So we have just got three buckets. There is a huge audience in the market. How should I convert that audience into traffic onto my website, into my properties? How do I convert that traffic into leads? And how do I convert the leads into fulfillment? So that final conversion happens. So we look at three buckets of what we have to do. Converting audience to traffic is primarily understanding a huge amount of your existing customers, reaching out to them wherever they are, and also having a lot of understanding of who actually you will be able to provide money. You don't ask somebody to come into your home and then shut the door on them. As a bank, you cannot invite a person to say like, hey, I will give you money, and after that you find the credit risk is not something which is acceptable to you and push them away. So you need to be extremely clear that the kind of people you attract to come onto your properties are the people that you will actually take them through the journey. If you don't, please stop it. Don't talk to them. Yes. So that requires a lot of understanding of data science. If you do not understand data science, if you do not understand lookalike modeling and other stuff, how are you going to go ahead and do it? And not everybody goes through the credit process. Not everybody goes through the fulfillment process. Then you know who have dropped off, and that's a response data available. And are you going to use the response data to go back and redo your work in terms of identifying the right set of customers? And this looks very simple in English, and we call it machine learning. So that's machine learning for us, and that's how we keep churning. So once you bring them onto your website, traffic has come onto your website. Now, there is no more a cohort of customers. The person who has come onto my website is a single individual consumer. Who has walked into my home? Debjani has walked into my home. Now, I need to actually become personalized to Debjani. If I'm not going to be personalized in terms of understanding and greeting her in whatever I know about her, and I don't personalize, how will she actually go ahead and give me a lead? If it is not going to talk to her, while I might have attracted her to come into my property, but when she comes into my property, if she feels this is not for me, yes, then we have lost the game. So the next phase of the entire data science work is to personalize the communication, personalize the messaging, personalize the landing page, personalize everything, personalize the experience once they are in our property. You need to invest heavily in data and science and the data science to get to that personalization. Yes. So the third person is, okay, finally you are managing to talk to her in a very personalized way. They get impressed, they understand it, and they actually now want to go through the journey with you and complete the fulfillment process. At this point of time, I need to guide them through the fulfillment process. Yes. So that's where I see as a third step of from lead to a conversion. We need to understand every drop-off stage and what could have been the reason for the drop-offs to happen. And we need to understand how to do remarketing for people who drop off and go away. Yes. We need to understand at what stage people have dropped off, so what could have been the reason, so where should I go back and talk to them, and till how long I should talk to them, which channel to use to talk to them, and how do I create an omni-channel experience irrespective of whichever channel you might have come in. When you go and talk to my branch, when you go and talk to my call center, when you go and talk to my mobile banking, or you talk to you got everything done, final money is there only when actually the customer converts. And how are you going to do all this stuff? That's what we call it as journey. Yeah. And how do you design the consumer journeys? How can you personalize the consumer journeys? And how can you make sure that there is enough information that is available with you to make sure that it's an omnichannel?
So that brings two more questions to mind. I think our viewers would be very interested because you are sort of the gold standard in sort of what you are doing here and accomplishing here. How large a data science team does this require internally for you to do this? And the second question is a little more philosophical in nature, in the sense that as you bring in automation on these consumer journeys across those channels, how much automation is good and how much are you retaining for human beings to do?
I think artificial intelligence works only when there is human intelligence.
Yes.
If you see it as a data point of 1 and 0s, I don't think you're going to get there. So it's a mix of both the things. So we need to be very clear about how do we bring the human intelligence. And automation of a repetitive task, I'm all for it, so that people do not waste time on what could have been done by the machines. So wherever there is a value addition that is possible, don't automate. Wherever there is a value addition that is not possible and machine can do a better job, obviously crunching of data, machines will do a far better job. Moving data, machines will do a far better job. So those things cannot be done manually, so you need to do a lot more of automation. In terms of data science team, and we have been lucky in HDFC Bank that from 2009 we started this data science team slowly and steadily. And half of the people are working on the credit data science side, and half of the people are working on the consumer marketing data science of the side. So continuously keep challenging using hackathons, continuously challenging using saying this is the problem that we all have as a bank. Who is going to come and help us solve this problem? And tomorrow what I see going to happen, because tomorrow for me it is all about journey analytics, it's all about prescriptive analytics in terms of figuring out what kind of a customer journey the person had before completing the transaction. So how do I actually nudge the next set of customers in that journey path rather than trying to predict that this person will take this product? I think that's passive. That's over and done now. So the predictive analytics is over and done. We have now moved going to prescriptive and journey analytics. And that requires a lot different skill set, a lot different kind of response and understanding journey paths. And these are new things that we are all learning on the fly. And you need to be open to bring as much of talent from outside as you have to develop talent inside. And it needs to be a kind of mix and match, which will work.
No, that's awesome, and of course we've been very much part of your journey, and we've seen it from the inside. One of the things you talked about is the growth in the user set. If it's okay, I just wanted to give our viewers sort of the level of growth. Your mobile banking app has gone through like 100% growth year over year over a period of time, which is mind-boggling in itself. The adoption of digital technology and the adoption from your consumer base of that adoption has been just wonderful to see. Where do you see the next set of innovation happening in the next 2 years?
My personal choice would be how can I make it more personal, for personalization. Because I see journeys and the nudging in the journeys as well as because of the fact that very specifically we have taken a conscious decision that we want a zero touch experience for our customers, complete end to end, starting from the time the customer thinks of our product to the time the customer actually has the product. Because we are one of those industries which can actually deliver that experience. From a data set of hundreds and thousands, how can I get to an individual consumer and personalize the experience and make it personal? Because I keep telling everybody, at the end of the day, the best salesman, the difference between the best salesman and the next best salesman is all about the relationship they would have built with the customer. Okay? Product-wise, knowledge-wise, everybody would be almost similar. The best salesman is somebody who understands the customer and has an emotional connect with the customer. And that is the personal touch, and that's the reason for a salesman to actually be a very good salesman. Now, we need to be a digital salesman without any physical presence.
Yes.
So how are you going to bring empathy when you are going to get into that personal space, which is the second phase of how to convert traffic into lead into a final completion of a journey? That depends heavily on your ability to get that emotional connect. And there are enough cues available to figure out what is the mood of the customer, basis the time spent, basis a lot of things outside of the company, inside of the company. How do you bring all the stuff to make that experience so personal that they believe that they're actually talking to somebody in the bank, in the physical person, and there is a friend in that side, in that property who's helping them complete the transaction. And that's where I think I'll see a lot more work being done.
You know, I love your answer, but the unexpected word there, Ravi, that you used was how do you bring that empathy to the digital world, which is quite a high bar, I think, and but it's awesome. Thank you very much for spending the time with me today, Ravi.